Hello,
Hello.
everybody. It's the Coco Case, another
It's
episode.
time. It's time for a new talk. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
and this
Yep.
one will
Yep.
be in sync with actually two things, right?
Mm.
With a bit with the V and also with programming or deprogramming.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
and
So, well, actually, it's the big main word that is fills many people's lives,
mhm.
and it's the F.E.A.R.
Yeah,
F.E.A.R.
fear.
Fear.
Yeah.
Fear. Yeah. So, what is fear? What is fear for you? What is fear?
Well, didn't you want to start off with your, I think we're going to do a video on this. What? Coco just put on the copper glasses. Fear is when the Coco puts on the copper glasses.
Yeah, well, that's another talk. Yeah, copper,
No.
copper, copper.
Oh
Anyway,
yeah, copper, yeah.
uh,
But right now
fear.
we're on fear. And you said there is a definition for fear, which I really liked. Can you say that, say it?
I don't know. I think there's many, but the ones I use, because I use, well, what is the definition of fear? That's probably the one you can look up. What is fear? Yeah. And for me, fear it can be two things. Like there's the one that, unfortunately, it seems like 95% are believe in, and that that's fear. It stands for forget everything and run.
Yeah.
And what does that mean? Forget everything. Well, first of all, forget everything you actually know, which will make you capable of managing the situation, and run. And then you hide from it. You avoid it.
Yeah.
That's the one. That's yeah,
That's
where
the
you
one that's in the
become.
program.
Yeah, and you're controllable, right? And then there's the other one that I use, and I guess face everything and rise.
Yeah.
Or you could
That's a
say,
nicer one.
take the bull with the by the horn, whatever, call it whatever you want. And yeah, the first one is the one we're taught to fear. We're born out of parents that are filled with fear,
Mm.
with grandparents too, and so on. So it's a very deep program to fear everything you don't understand and you don't that seems bigger than you or stronger or wiser or whatever. And it's also again the programming's run deep, but they're also it's also something I notice is also about countries, cultures, different ways of There's something I always thought about was funny. I'm Danish American. It's a big conflict in the head, of course, to be like on one side you're like you're a star, and on the other side you're like nothing.
Oh,
The American part is you're a star, and so you prove opposite, and in Denmark you're nothing, and you try to prove you're something for 40 years, and maybe you'll get a star. That's a little
yeah.
extreme. But it's yeah. And then what I always like people would tease me because I love to go to New York and like, what is it like so much about New York? I said, okay, it's the feeling that like when you walk into a shop or a bar or whatever, people will start talking to you and ask you like with curiosity, where you from? What you got? What can we do? What can we make together? Kind of,
Mm.
that energy. And in Denmark, you're like, if you are something and you know something, they're like, but where do you know that from? What's your education? What's your background? It's the fear-based one of the foreigner, the fear of the foreigner, the fear of the things we don't understand. And actually, I have a gallery, online gallery, and I think one of the sentences is like that people fear what they do not understand.
Yeah.
Art can make you understand, actually. That's another thing. But people, we fear what many, I say we, but I must admit, I do not have any fear, not that I know of. Maybe, and sometimes that's not even so good to be fearless. Can also be difficult.
Mm.
But that's another story. Then we could do another one on that one day, another talk. So fear, yeah, and the
But
reason why
but
we can link.
but
Mm,
it is actually interesting. I'm sorry, just to
mm.
because we talked about the thing where do you remember when you talked about fearlessness and I told you that that's what I related to the most, more than
Mm-hmm.
wishing for being courageous. What really resounds with me is being fearless. And then you said, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's because fear still is a big factor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. The word fear, of course, every time you say it, you actually everything we have to keep on remembering that every thought we have create is being sent out in the whatever you believe in,
Mm.
the air, just call it that, universe, whatever, and starts to be created. And then you speak it, you of course speed up the process and you manifest it even quicker. So of course, when I say fearless instead of saying courageous, the one is negative and really, and the other one's positive charged. Yeah, true. And I find myself sometimes speaking to match everybody. This is also a program, of course. This is the nice girl program, really. Like,
Mm.
and because I had an education in NLP, the neuro linguistic programming, where you actually learn to manipulate. And manipulation is not bad. The problem is manipulation is also a word that's been negatively charged because usually people use it in a bad way,
Yeah.
manipulate people to get their way. But in manipulation, I mean, you can just use it to match people or dismatch, to not match people. And you can do that in your words and your whatever body language. So often when I speak, and maybe also when I'm not doing these tapes, really, not because of you, but because of the people that might be listening in, is to like use words that most follow, that we have a mutual understanding of.
Oh,
But I will say courage for now. Courage is better. There's not a lot around
yeah.
of the courage. Yeah.
Yeah.
But back to what to combine it with the V talk. We did a talk about it. If you haven't seen it, or listen to it, check it out. Because what made so many people take this this juice, this V,
Yeah.
and then we go over to you, Sammy. So what made so many take? Why do you think so many took a product into their body that they didn't know anything about and hadn't been tested and so on? Why did so many agree to that,
There are several
Sammy?
there are several things in this. One is that there were they the perfect circumstances were somehow created, right? Like
Mm.
the in a way, like it was like made like all bets are off. Anything is dangerous suddenly, and if we want to get back to normalcy, then this is what you'll have to do. Um, okay.
What happened?
I don't know. I was suddenly thrown out.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, that's really weird. Okay. So, anyways, so
What should we do? You want to continue?
yeah, let's just continue.
Okay.
It was very short break. So, anyways, what
Okay.
what I think is it was that the perfect circumstances were created because I believe that it was to some extent well uh, choreographed. Let's call it that. And,
Mm.
and then you create circumstances that create so much confusion and that so that people are, more susceptible to getting um, to take orders. And there's a fellow goal which combines the focus on let's get back to where we were,
Mm.
and there's a feeling of union while we are apart. We can use actually this setup that we are using right now to see each other, to work from, to blah blah blah. Many people maybe also like that because it felt like a little holiday and blah blah. And so you're slowly lulled into this. Okay, so let's take it for what it is and just accept it, and we must all pull together and these are extraordinary circumstances, extraordinary times. And then there is like there was like this what shall we call it? This alignment of all media, which sort of also fell into place, which made it even harder for people just wanted to get back to normal, right? So you chose, as we usually do, we you choose a team, you choose a place to stand, and then you just either you follow or you actually start to think, and many people just followed
Because of fear.
because of fear. Yeah,
That's that's my
yeah,
take on all
yeah,
this. My take is it was as you just mentioned, but I will I'll just put all the fear in front. Fear of not doing the same as your neighbor, fear
yeah,
of not being a good citizen, fear of not being able to go to the cafe or bar or travel or work, fear of
yeah. But
getting a disease, fear. It was all fear based.
yeah, and very much also, it's like when you're told that, and you might be the super spreader, that these words that
Mm,
were used very much, right? Uh,
mm,
so there were measures brought in which you were told this can prevent that, all sorts of things, and then
mm,
many people just said, okay, then that is what we do. We are good citizens. Let's just
mm.
talk through this together.
It
And
was all about fear. The
yeah,
whole way they spoke, the
yeah,
whole way our prime minister, everybody was talking out of the fear mongering, right?
yeah.
And brainwashing people even more, and panicking
But
and taking away. Yeah.
it was sort of an
Mm,
experiment, right? Also, like, I feel like fear is a little bit like a seed that you can plant, and then you really can watch it grow real quick and
mm,
take on enormous, almost torrential growth. And that's
yeah.
what happened. It swept not just
Mm,
one country. It swept from country to country to country to country, and
mm, mm,
sooner or
mm,
later around the globe. And then you had these, yeah, you had this narrative that sort of seemed very convincing.
mm,
Um, and I don't know why I was, whether that is because I'm so very German, but there was an enormous trust which
mm,
broke way too late. I was really asleep,
mm,
I must say. I was really
mm,
asleep.
mm, mm.
And
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
swallowed it all, hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah. Yes. But again, this the fear has been brought into us for so many years now. Again, I mean, the media, the TV programs. I mean, watch the TV after what 8 o'clock. It's all like murders and psych murders or something. It's thrillers.
Yeah,
It's all things that feed the pain body. And
yeah,
somebody said the other day, we must be better to express all these different words we use. But then I said, well, you can just comment on the video or something. But like pain body is the body we all have that feeds off of pain, which means when we watch a thriller and somebody gets murdered, why is it we watch it? It's not really
mm,
nice, actually. But
no,
that's our pain body that's being fed that
mm.
likes to see this and reactivates pain inside you, right?
Yeah, also horror movies.
So now I explain.
Yeah,
Yeah, and so now I explain what the pain body is. The pain body needs pain to feel itself. And if you don't know you have a pain body, you'll be feeding it all the time. The moment you know you have a pain body, like the moment you start asking yourself, why am I watching this thriller where he's killing her and chopping her into why? Because there's nothing nice about it. It's actually crazy to sit and watch that stuff.
mm,
And when you start asking yourself why, then you realize you have a pain body, and then you can start disconnecting or healing it. Anyway, that's the pain body.
yeah,
So everything is fear. Fear. The prices went up on everything. People were in fear if they would lose their job, if they had enough money to pay the heating, all that stuff. And the main reason for fear is, of course, to control, right? So you can control people and tell them what to do,
Mm.
because you kind of get numbed down. And the second thing is your immune system goes down. When we are in fear, we get weak physically, also mentally, emotionally, but especially physically. And this means you are in fear to get back to become sick, but you actually get become sick and attract diseases because your system is down due to fear.
Mm.
So this is what is going on. So to go back to the V, the main reason that so many took it, I believe, was of course out of fear. Because you're not rational. And people took this stuff, even though I spoke to many that took it and they didn't feel right about it when they did it, they didn't feel right after, they didn't feel right during, and so on. But what else was there to do? Because they were afraid of, again, what the neighbors would say. They couldn't go for Christmas dinner with their family and so on. And now these years later, I can see many now thinking, wow, I mean, that was really a big thing and a big decision I took there. And how come I didn't think for myself? And this goes back to the other talk we had about the programming. Well, because we're programmed to not think. We're programmed to stay in the box. And it starts in school, it starts in kindergarten, right?
Yeah.
Our parents leave us to strangers that educate us the way the system, the government wants us to be educated. And in a perfect world, it's really nice, of course, if the intentions are really good and you try to make strong citizens. But most people must agree on now, at least in Denmark, the school system doesn't really work. It's just not working. But we still send our kids off because we have to go to work and because the alternative is to homeschool them or private schools. Either you can't afford a private school or you don't have the time or think you don't have the skills to homeschool.
Mm.
So the fear starts all the way there, and actually even before, I guess, even when the woman becomes pregnant. I mean, you're not allowed to give birth at home without having all kinds of government, this and that involved. You're not, so everything's fear. But what if something goes wrong? Are you going to give birth at home? What if something goes wrong? All this, it's all the fear, the fear, the fear. But we could also switch it around and say, okay, so what can you do? Is there any way to deprogram yourself? And of course there is. And that's like, again, positive brainwash. And that's going back to like the NLP, the neuro linguistic programming. Everything is a computer. We are a computer. You can reboot, you can reprogram. Whether you do it on your own, you go on some retreats, you read books, you listen to affirmations, whatever works. There's so many different ways, and people have to find their own way. But of course, you can reprogram to become sovereign instead and strong.
Mm.
And I think it all starts with the sentence question everything.
Yeah.
I mean, start questioning everything and then researching, because then you grow and you take back your power. Because wisdom is power, right? That's what it's all about. Knowing. Um, what do you think? What do you think about
Yeah, well,
how?
I think you're right about, that even if there are some things which are positive to be said to, for example, the school system, such as the way that children are encouraged to start reading. I find that part I find very encouraging in Denmark because they don't have that in Germany. But
Okay, can I break in here? I'm gonna say something. Now we're gonna have our first open mic discussion,
okay.
really, because you know what? Encouraged to read, sure, but what is it they're reading? It's
No, no,
crap.
no, no, no. I meant right.
Second, but
I meant right. I meant right. Sorry, I meant right.
okay, right. But again,
Right.
okay, I'll take that one too. So you're forced to write in a certain way.
No, no, no,
I'll
no.
give you a yes. What do you
You're,
mean then?
no, the way all of my kids were raised with they got to write the way they hear it, to write the way they perceive the world to be written, and then
Yeah.
only after then slowly there were like the correct spelling was introduced slowly, and in my time as a child in Germany, it was all about this is written like this is written like this.
Hmm.
All the joy of actually actually writing was taken out. And I
Mm.
can see it in my kids that they have like Noah enjoys very much to spell words, to write words, and to write stories. And so in that sense, I find that actually works for his creativity. And so did it do for my oldest daughters and my youngest. So that's the only praise I've got. I mean, the rest, what they learn, I agree with you, is most of it is unusable. Uh,
What they learn and how they learn, that they're
yeah,
forced to sit inside. But now we're taking
yeah,
it another way. And the fear starts because the competition. You're tested, there's a right way and there's a wrong way always. There's a
yeah,
right way to sit, wrong way to enter, right way to write, and so on. And I only see kids are not happy when they come home from school usually. That's what I see when I look around
mm,
because they're like their light has been dimmed down. Of course, they're sitting inside. As I think we all seen these videos where you compare jails to schools, the
yeah, yeah,
buildings, the
yeah,
structure,
yeah,
the food, the way, the recess, the
yeah.
everything is just
The bells.
crazy and fear. How many kids are not afraid of going to school today because they didn't do their homework properly, or some kid is on their back, or some teacher is,
Yeah,
they don't feel nice, open, and relaxed. Maybe when they leave in the morning, but then slowly the light is just turned off. But again, that's back to the fear of not being correct, the fear of not being good enough all the time. And it slowly kills you from inside,
yeah,
from child, from when you're very, and your parents' fear of you not being correct, your parents' fear of you not going to school with socks on, your parents' fear, these things we have of
mm,
also being correct, good citizens with our little perfect kids, it's all fear based. Yeah. So again, people must stop and take a deep breath and think for themselves. Does this feel right? Does this feel right to me? Is it right to send my kid off today when they're feeling a little down and want to stay home? Yeah, but they have to because they can't, and we have to, and blah blah blah.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I never
Okay.
did that.
No, 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 no. But many do, or are
Yeah,
forced to,
yeah,
or think
yeah,
the kids are faking it. But
yeah,
when the kids are actually trying to tell you something, I need to stay home. I need to be
yeah,
close to you, or whatever. I need a day off, a break,
yeah.
right?
I take
But
those actually.
we,
I take those very seriously. But
yeah,
it's
yeah,
true.
yeah.
Most can't afford to take them seriously. That's true.
Mm-mm,
And that's the other thing
mm,
about it is like that one thing is, what they're being educated to be, and then the other thing is that the whole thing that they're taught like in this system is like based on what? The way the system worked 20, 30, 40 years ago. That's what they're still
yeah,
being taught. And none
yeah.
of it still works. The system has completely changed. There is no getting out
Mm,
of school and then getting a nice job and then promoting yourself and then finally resting somewhere where you then end up getting a nice pension or whatever. All of that shit is
no,
gone. That's not how you actually make a living today. None of that works.
no, no, no. Actually, I always say this structure we're in is a game. It's like a game, and you're set up to lose.
Yeah. Yeah.
You basically, it's very difficult to win this game unless you're among the families on the top of this game that maybe created this game.
Mhm.
But if you're not, which most are not, you cannot win because now the big change with the AI, right? There won't be
Yeah.
any jobs. I mean,
No.
we're educating kids for jobs that will not exist for
Yeah.
them,
Exactly.
and
Exactly.
nobody's changed that structure. But now we turned it all around. We were talking about fear. Now we're talking about the system in school. So
Yeah.
maybe we should
No, but that's where it
wrap that
starts.
one.
So I think it's quite right still, because
Mm,
where does it come in? Where does the fear factor come in? And for me, it
yeah.
was like that. It's true. It was the
Mm,
fear was planted in me within the school years. I
yeah.
School made me the most insecure person ever, and at the same
Yeah.
time, I must say that I was probably one of the very few ones that was still to this day remember most of the
Mm.
stuff I actually learned and be able to tell you how quite useless it is.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas
Yeah. Exactly.
many others, they learned it, got good grades, got
Mm.
got good jobs then afterwards because they, uh,
Mm.
they manage well to learn because you all you do is learn by heart. You don't learn to think.
You memorize, you don't learn
Yeah,
anything. It's about memorizing.
yeah,
Who's good at memorizing?
yeah,
If you're good at sitting down quiet and memorizing, you
yeah.
can be a success at the school system, of course. But it's not
Actually,
learning. You don't learn anything.
that
No.
was actually with one of the amazing facts. I was terrible at maths, right, in
Mm-hmm.
school,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
but now since I don't have to perform it in school, I can understand
Mm.
any mathematical
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah.
Isn't
Yeah.
that funky?
Yeah. And that was actually why I interrupted you in the beginning, because when you said about you thought it was good the way they encourage kids to write. Because I remember when my oldest he went to a Real Steiner kindergarten, which was lovely for kids, and I wish every kid could go in a school or a kindergarten like that. Anyway, so I had to decide which school he should enter, because he could continue at the Real Steiner school. I had him signed up for another very creative school. Of course, I could not put him in a normal school. I visited them all in the neighborhood, but every time I got this feeling of a prison.
Mm,
When I stood there, in the courtyard, I was like, no, something's wrong. Plus, my own experience was so bad with schools, so I thought, okay, I cannot put my kids in a school where I didn't thrive myself. I must put them in something similar to what I ended up thriving in, which was a private school in town.
mm,
So and then the neighbor that was a Rudolf Steiner kindergarten teacher, whatever, and she was discussing this with me, and she said, "Well, put him in the Rudolf Steiner." I said, "No, no, he'll never learn to read and write." That was back in the days where I still thought that was. And then she looked at me and she said the best sentence ever. She said, "Listen, a happy soul will always learn to read and write when it's ready.
yeah,
Doesn't matter if it's 5 years old or 10 years old. When the person is ready." But you can always learn to read and write, but you cannot always learn how to become a happy soul.
yeah,
And I love that way she like angled it with me, that
yeah,
I realized, yes, of course, this is true. You're ready when you're ready. When you're forced ready, and boys are put to school too early, so they're usually forced too early. It's not a success.
yeah.
Which was true with my son too. So yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, okay. Well,
Okay.
yes. Oh, the fear. But it was also because we talk, there's a lot of fear going on right now. People are extra fearful, full of lack of courage. There's a lot of fear, and also a lot of more aggression, right? I mean, people due to fear are more tight,
Yeah,
there's more split ups, breakups in jobs, in families,
yeah.
and it's mainly fear based. Just like the next step of fear is anxiety, of course. And like anxiety medication now is like almost as normal as popping whatever pills for a headache. Everybody
I
has
just
fear now. Not everybody. Yeah. What was that?
that was there 10 minutes. Already got
Okay, okay, yeah.
warning.
Well, we can wrap it. We can wrap it here. I mean, for me, it's fine, but we can wrap it up here. But
No,
again,
no, no, no,
I
no. I
will.
think we
I
should use the time because it took us around quite some, quite some circles, and let's just keep it going because it's really I find it a
okay.
powerful subject. It's just that, since so much of our daily lives, our education, our start in life, our middle in life, since so much is based in fear, and fear comes
Mm-hmm.
in into so many aspects of our lives. This talk is bound to be a wild one, or a wide one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm very worried. I'm not worried because I'm never really worried, but I think about. I feel sad on behalf of all the people that has anxiety,
yeah,
which is when fear takes over, really. Anxiety, and how it's become accepted in society now that it's okay to have anxiety. You just get some pills,
yeah,
you know. And I can suddenly see now, as I talk to families, that the mom will have anxiety, and so the kids. Like, no wonder. Like, I'm looking at them and say, okay, where do you think it comes from?
yeah.
You know, The kids have anxiety and stress. They go to, therapy or not. They
Mm.
take pills for anxiety. They take melatonin to sleep at night, which is crazy too. Uh, yeah, but it's better than not getting any sleep. Yes, yes, I say again, but you're not going to the core of this, are you?
No.
You're medicating again. And it's crazy. Like people take like melatonin and try to get it abroad because it's cheaper or because the doctor won't prescribe it or so on. And so the society, like just like we accepted cancer almost as a normal thing in life, it's
Mm.
normal to get cancer. It's nothing special anymore. So the same is with the anxiety now. It's normal.
Yeah.
It's been normalized. But what the F is going on? It's not normal to have anxiety attacks.
Yeah.
It's not normal. It's terrible.
Yeah.
But again, that's the programming. So why do people not stop up and look themselves in the mirror or look somebody else in the eye and wonder why is this happening to me?
Mm.
And they feel bad, they feel ashamed, they feel weak, and so on. Yes. And again, it's all about the fear. So, what is it you fear so much? Like, what is it? And it's because we have this way of saying, well, it could go bad. Or what if this happens? Where did that program come from?
Mm.
What? And some people romanticize it by saying, well, that's just being protective. They just want to protect. You know, back when I had my second or first, I don't remember. There was a very popular child psychiatrist. He wrote these books. Everybody read them in Denmark, and he said, in a good way, like it's just like when a mom lets her toddler start walking down the stone steps, right? She has already in her head seen a picture of the toddler falling and
Mm.
knocking his head. She's already manifesting this picture. She overprotects the kid from walking down, and funny enough, the kid usually falls
Oh.
and hurts herself. Where the mothers that are courageous and don't have these thoughts will let the toddler, of course, not something stupid, walk these steps, and usually the kid will not fall.
Yeah.
And it's as simple as this. So this is good. The thought to mind is very powerful, right?
Yeah.
What you see. So you always walk around with what if this happens? What if that happens? All these sentences you make, and that's typical me to stumble. It's typical of me to fall. All these things just adds on the fear. Your big fear box just gets bigger. But it's so simple, really. You can flip it around, and people get angry with me. Yeah, you say it's so simple, but actually it is. Look at yourself, and okay, you just thought, what if it rains today when I go out the door in these nice sandals? Where do you get that thought from? Look at the sky, it's blue.
Mm.
Why do you think that? So why don't you just flip it and say, what if the sun is out all day? How lovely is that? And it's
Mm.
as simple as this. That's the reprogramming, really. And every time you start these negative thoughts, these chains reactions just starts, flip it.
Yeah.
What if? What I mean, what
Yeah.
if?
The positive what if.
Yes,
But
and it's not. Yeah.
but it's also, I mean, you have to think of it that we live in a society where you're sold the thought of having insurance as being, you know, that's being a good person, right? You have to have insurance,
Mm.
man. You
Yeah.
have to prepare for the worst. And I remember
Yes.
those
Yes.
talks are actually like really, yes, so should we put in maiming? Maiming? Yeah, like if you suddenly if your fingers are squashed, or say your voice box because you need your voice box, right? And I'm like, okay, so you're right now making me imagine my voice box getting squashed.
Yeah.
Yeah, and how much do you think we should value that at? And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
that's the craziest conversation I've ever had.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that's true. That's true. With the insurance part. Yes,
Yeah.
for sure. What if
So the
this
so
and this
the so the
happened?
danger, but that's just to say that we're introduced that the dangerous what if, the negative what if is like, that's how
Mm,
you should think. Because
mm, mm,
what if that part
mm,
were to come true, right?
mm, mm, mm.
Imagine.
Yes,
And
yes. And of
and that's the
course, you're
loop
stuck.
we're kept in. That's how
Mm.
the fear is
Mm.
introduced as
Mm.
sound thinking.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what you do when you're intelligent.
And then you go back to the vaccinate
Yeah,
capacities thing.
yeah.
The because this is again, you're VAing yourself, as we
Yeah,
said, VACC. Yep, you know what I mean. Everybody knows what I mean. Against life, right? You're
yeah,
trying to protect yourself for these what if something goes wrong.
yeah,
What if what? And I remember this on a note because I do not indulge in these in general, and I have not for what 28 years something like that. But at some point, I was going to India, and I was taking my son very young. He was like 1 year, 1.5 or something. And of course, there's malaria. There's what is cholera. There's different disease, polio, so on. That they say that there. Yes, yes, of course. And I remember the feeling that I would not give him any V's for it, and neither myself. I use homeopathic from a homeopathic hospital. Drops. You take them a week before you go on your trip. You take them every week and a week after. Yeah. And I remember that feeling the first time because I was getting ready to buy malaria pills and I read on the back, you can lose your hair. You can like, I'm never gonna give a kid this. So I gave him only the drops. But of course, when I went to India, one thing was taking the responsibility for my own life, choosing the homeopathic way, but also for other person's life. Maybe it was my kid, but it was still a human, other human.
mm,
But us doing that trip, coming back alive, made me feel so sovereign. I
yeah,
took the full responsibility of my own
yeah,
health and my child's health,
yeah,
despite what the whole systems told me I had
yeah.
to do. And yeah, so it's again, the V's are again being yourself, protecting yourself against life, because then
And
you,
you
you couldn't
can't.
do anything else. No, you
No.
can't. V and
No.
insurance is just a
Yeah,
very bad invention. Very,
yeah.
very
A
bad invention.
scheme, a scheme.
Yeah,
Well, let's
totally.
leave it at
Okay.
that for now because
Yeah.
we actually
Mm-hmm.
used up our time.
Yep. 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 Yep.
And we'll be back
Yep.
soon. Remember to
Yes.
subscribe, like, share, comment, keep it civil. And see you on
Mm-hmm.
the flip side on the next one.
Yep. Yep. Ciao. Ciao.
Toodaloo.
Keep spreading the love. Bye.
Bye.